know, you never know when we're gonna go. Okay, there we go. Did I tell you what I've been doing with Andy Barlow?
No.
We've been doing some live videos just like this one. The first one was to help him with his book.
Oh.
I don't know if you've read that yet or not, but it's Andy in a book. Like, you can hear his Southern accent. See, sister, we're on for 16 seconds and she says hi. You can literally hear Andy's accent in the book. It's freaking hilarious, but I mean, it's absolute money. It's awesome.
That's great. Can't wait to read his book.
So we've been talking about the book. We've been talking about success stories. It's actually been pretty fun to have him on. I also just kind of reconnect with him, right? Because you know how his energy is. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Those of you who are jumping on with us, I'd like to introduce my good friend, Dr. Ian Hollaman. Ian and I have known each other for what, 5 years now?
Yeah, I think at least.
Something like that. We've been connected through various boards and social events for the people that are in our field. And I've known Ian and I are kindred spirits, I would say, in more ways than one. But Ian, I was super excited. Y'all know that I do some work with US Enzymes. I've done some work with them, writing some diet protocols, writing some supplemental protocols. And also, when you go to US Enzymes website, if you click on Ask the Doctor and start filling out those forms, they come straight to me. And when I heard Ian was working with the company to formulate an immune system support supplement, I was pretty stoked about it because I know the passion and I know the background and the love that you were going to give this product. And it took us a while to get this into our hands. But I'm halfway through my first bottle, and I'm excited to talk to you about this because there's been some things that I've been wondering why they were in here. And so let's start there. Just tell me, where did this idea come from, and what does the process look like to get this actually to market?
Yeah, well, thank you, by the way, for having me. So it's been 2.5 years to get this on the market. And actually the biggest hang up was the probiotics, and we'll talk about those. There's some pretty cool, there's 3 strains of probiotics in there. But before I think we go through the ingredients individually, since it's a kind of a combination formula, the motivation behind this was actually mostly through my work with patients, and also everything that I've kind of learned from my master's. I did a master's program came about from a guy named Dr. Alex Vasquez. He's a triple doctorate, just one of those crazy, super smart dudes, and making like manuals that thick, and then you're just like drooling in seminars when he's like talking because he knows his stuff. And
the kind of seminar you walk out of there and you can't remember your own name because your
mind's blown, right? So he saw him at the Institute for Functional Medicine. Did the certification through them, but then he, basically it was announced that he was doing a master's program. And I was like, oh, it's on the immune system. I'm in.
Right.
And so the main ingredients there were heavily, researched, and then also kind of just, learned about them through the program. And then that's, of course, at the same time, about 6-7 years ago is when I really started ramping up my work in autoimmunity. My grandfather had celiac disease. I've had family members with autoimmune issues. I've pretty much gone through that whole debacle myself in grad school. And so then this has been kind of a dream for me to be able to take something, in a bottle, instead of giving someone 5, 6, 7 supplements, we actually we put it into one.
Right.
So now it becomes super convenient for a client to crack that open and take whatever dosage that we're looking for. But there's also a lot of thought process I have behind that because I've used green tea or probiotics or, vitamin D or K with other patients, and then at what dosages. And so it kind of, and the cool thing actually as well is I've realized, well, gosh, not only can I use this to quote unquote support our patients when they have complex immune disorders, but then as a maintenance, we don't want to have to go back and re-suffer the same issues. And so there's a fair amount of research out there showing a lot of recidivism, a lot of people coming back, having, developing more autoimmune conditions, et cetera, et cetera. Man, if we can actually put something like this in somebody's body and get their immune system to avoid that in the first place, then amen is that's the theory behind it, is now we can kind of take this and put it all together, and it makes it convenient. And at the same time, these are all things that I've used and seen work, right? So the what we're really trying to get at is specifically stimulation of a cell called the T regulatory cell. Mm-hmm. So T cells are kind of more of a hot button item. As we've been learning about, these people getting infections and then their immune system kind of spinning out of control, and all of that stuff that we're seeing in the media. Ultimately, a lot of that is under control by our regulatory cells, and so it's like the symphony conductors, and they're the ones that kind of, they sit up top, right, and they're kind of telling everybody, hey, you do this, stop doing that,
right.
Whatever, right? So it's like, chutes and ladders. You got different directions of where you can go, and so the immune system is dictating that. But especially in autoimmune, well, it's really, think about it, it's like there's cancer, there's autoimmune disease, and there's actually allergy, right? There's kind of like three really bad responses of what can happen to an immune system. Or you could say it's also suppressed, I guess. But, cancer, obviously, the T cells are not eliminating cells, and so they turn into cancerous cells. You've got allergy, where they're hypersensitive and too reactive, right? Yeah. And then there's like autoimmunity, where you lose control of the system, and it's kind of like the inmates are running it, so to speak. Right? So that's kind of, again, been my focus. So the cool thing is, like, all the nutrients in here would be something that I would use for a type 2 diabetic, right? Right. I'd use this for someone who had breast cancer. Right. I would use this for someone as a not just an alternative, but a support to the regular medical care as recommended by your doctor.
Just to be clear, though, on something you just said, though, you mentioned type 2 diabetes, which most people think of it as a metabolic disorder. It is not. It is an immune system disorder. And actually, it should be termed type 1.5 diabetes, not type 2. But it's the actual immune system gone awry, and the inmates are running the show, and they're actually attacking the insulin receptor. But for some reason, mainstream doesn't want to accept that yet, except for guys like me and you.
Yeah, well, and then it makes sense because there's already mainstream drugs that are accepted as the primary form of treatment, and so of course it's like trying to muscle people out of the business, and Johnny and Vito and Guido and the people that are in charge don't really want to lose the authority, right? And obviously the dollar bills that go with that. So again, the amazing thing is about the immune system is that the nutrients that you give it, they can be pharmaceutical or natural, but we've been exposed to almost all these compounds at different times for over a long, long period of time. And so this is all stuff that I see consistently work with my patients. And the cool thing is that the side effect profile is almost zero. Like probiotic, there's I've read research about how, they're worried about probiotics and what it's going to do. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, list all the side effects of probiotics. Like, it's pretty minimal.
There are side effects?
Well, actually, prebiotics, sometimes if you take too much prebiotics, you get a little bit of gastrointestinal discomfort and that kind of stuff. And there actually is there is prebiotic in it. And then there's something called sodium alginate
Mm-hmm.
That actually is a proprietary process that who is it? It's Masters Supplements, and they're kind of like a probiotic company, and so they actually developed a process to deliver like 90% more on average of these bugs to the actual place where they're active.
Right.
You don't have to hit people with as high of a dose to get the same clinical effect, which also means you don't have to spend as much, because probiotics actually can be very expensive.
Yes,
In general, right? And of course, it's not that everything that's expensive works. It's more like if you have the thought process behind it. And that's why I think, again, US Enzymes is just amazing, because they always have forethought. And there's just, I toured their facility. There's nothing like it out there.
No.
That they're how stringent they are, how they source their ingredients, who they work with, like the doctors that they have making their formulas. It's pretty unique, I think, in the supplement industry, what they've got going on.
Well, it's people doing the right things for the right reasons, right? They actually want a product that's going to work, and they're not there to cut corners.
Yeah,
I was on that tour with you, and I'm still reveling about that. It looked like a 5-gallon bucket in that fridge that was a bucket of probiotics that had a cash value of like $1.5 million.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But
do some farmer carries with that, right?
What's that?
Do some farmer carries with that when you're doing CrossFit?
Oh yeah. I was actually doing kettlebell swings. Oh, you dork. So let's just jump into A, K, and D. Vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin D. They're pretty straightforward in my mind, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but all of these are all part of that T regulatory system, right?
Mm-hmm. They're and even so. Vitamin E can, but from a practical perspective, the dosage of that would have to be kind of its own thing, and so that's where the A, D, and K, you can get actually pretty high doses to be really clinically effective, and still actually fit other stuff in there too. So that's kind of neat, because you get slightly different impacts with each one of those 3 nutrients. And partly what's important too, and what I've learned clinically, is some of this comes if you do high doses.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it comes when you're using it on a regular basis consistently. Mm-hmm. So when you've got that immune system constantly soothed, if you want to say that,
right?
Then, and for example, since we're talking about autoimmunity, you're dealing with things like triggers, which can be infections, which could be food sensitivities, right? We're trying to fix that leaky gut problem, obviously, in a ton of our clients. But you're using that as actually, again, it's a standalone therapy that it's going to actually trigger the immune system to start to calm down.
Right.
And that's huge. So that's, all those nutrients are there for that. And vitamin D has so much research behind it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Again, it's a hormone, so it's getting it dialed into the optimum range is huge. Vitamin A is a little bit more slippery, meaning that you can't do too high a doses for too long. And again, these are all what we call fat soluble nutrients, right? So A, E, D, and K. But at the doses that we have, even at one of those capsules twice a day, it's really, really hard to overdose on them.
Yeah.
And we design it that way so that the recommendation can be basically that anyone can take it.
Right. And I'm going to add to that, Ian. I live quite a bit north of you. So I'm up in that zone where we don't get a lot. I mean, it's pitch black and it's only 6:30 and it's been black for an hour. So this time of year, we don't get a lot of sunlight. So I'm not only taking, so this has 73 microgram or 3,000 international units of vitamin D, which is 375% of the recommended daily allowance. But we all know the recommended daily allowance is total garbage. But I actually take this in conjunction with US Enzymes vitamin D product during the winter months because we just don't see the sun.
Yep.
So I just want to throw that in there. It is hard to take too much. Vitamin A, massive doses of vitamin A are known as Accutane. You can get toxic on Accutane on vitamin A, but not at this particular level. We're getting a couple of comments. Elena Hamilton's actually a friend of mine that's chimed in. She says, "I hope this question isn't too early. Would I want this for IBS-C and allergy or overall inflammation? I'm taking enzymes, but I started back on probiotics yesterday." So Elena, the short answer is yes. The long answer is text me. I know you have my cell phone number. And we can kind of unpack what you're saying there. For me, and Ian, you're the immune system guru, but from what she just said, my recommendation would absolutely be to be a Paleolithic diet, and then immune system support like this. So yeah, that could absolutely be helpful. But that's my mind within the autoimmune world is primitive compared to what yours is. Would you add to that?
Yeah, you're right on, man. Like, again, you can throw all the supplements you want at IBS, IBD, whatever condition you want to call it, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid, all these different kinds of immune-based disorders. And ultimately, even if you're using Immunoxym here and you don't have the right diet in place, forget it.
You're wasting your money.
Absolutely. You're totally wasting. I mean, maybe you're not wasting your money, but at the same time, you're probably not going to see a huge clinical benefit, right?
Right.
Then you think you're wasting your money, but the reality is you didn't do the basics, and you have to have those basics locked down. Right. So when that's there, and it doesn't matter if it's IBS-D, IBS-C, IBS mixed type, they're gonna keep coming out with different kinds of it. Right?
And there's always, and people that run towards some of these other supplements. I won't call anybody out by name. I'm not talking about you, Elena, who said thanks. You definitely must change your diet. By the way, Elena, look for text messages that are coming because Kim and I are going to start a weekly autoimmune diet class where it's going to be on a Zoom format. So that's going to go out to my people like Elena and my sister. She says she loves probiotics and prebiotics. Getting them in one supplement would. Jenny, you have an account already with US Enzymes, so you can actually get on and order it. And you know how that works.
Brady, I would say that again, there's 3 probiotics in there, right? We haven't touched on those.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Sure. So just the Bifidobacterium lactis, the BLO4, which is one of the strains, right? And of course, when I met Jason, who is an amazing human being,
we should have gotten him on this call with us.
He might still be up in Amsterdam. You never know. So I was talking to him about strain specificity, and I was kind of questioning him about a different product, and he's like, and I was just kind of trying to talk to him a little bit about, hey, maybe we could start talking about getting more specific as far as some of those strains, because when I was taking my master's, the guy who's teaching the GI course was very, very adamant, and he was showing a lot of research backing it up that if you want a specific effect, you need to actually use specific probiotic strains. And so that's where, again, that's where I thought, okay, wow, if I want that, what do I want for this thing to do? Well, then now that's what I did. I went out and actually looked in the research and said, well, what is commercially available? Well, some wasn't available.
Right.
Some places just laughed at me basically when I contacted them, or they just never contacted me back. And then we were actually able to find 2 out of the 3 strains in Spain. And we're willing to basically play ball and actually get us those strains and sell us those. So for digestive related disorders, I mean, the strains in here have been shown in ulcerative colitis models, in Crohn's models, and there's IBS, the BLO4 has been shown in BLS through that strain to basically also help re-regulate the gastrointestinal immune system. The constipation subtype, I'll just say this, a lot of times does really well with the prebiotic. So even bringing in more of that sun fiber or if you want to maybe even think about the Sun Spectrum from US Enzymes.
Right.
I use a lot of that with my clients, but I always warn people, start low and slow and then work it up. Because you just sometimes you go, whoa, that was too much. I regret that. Because the supplements are powerful, man.
Right, they are.
They're strong and they can be powerful, and everyone reacts to them differently, which is really interesting, right? And our guts are all slightly different. I mean, they're kind of the same, but they can actually very much be different depending on the person.
So have you met Jeff at Master Supplements yet?
Not in person.
I haven't either, but I've had him on video like this, and the guy's you'd love him because he really dives into like the science behind the strains. But what Ian's talking about here is basically not all probiotics are created equal. And I am going to throw in here the crap that they put in yogurt's absolute garbage. And the sugar that comes with the yogurt is going to take away any good effect that you ever had. Yeah. But we've talked about this T regulatory system, but downstream from the T regulatory system, you have this whole like TH1, TH2 balancing act that your immune system has to do. And if it tips one way or the other, it can really, it's after 5 p.m. It's after 6 p.m. I can feel a little colorful, right? It can really screw with you, right? It can really create symptoms and things that you just don't want. And so there's a couple different probiotics that I use, but it's this bifidobacterium that we go to because it has a direct effect on that T regulatory system to balance that teeter-totter out and help control some of that reaction from happening.
Yep.
And that's what you've loaded in here. I see it's a ratio, right? You've got a little more bifidobacterium than lactobacillus is just kind of a general strain.
Yeah.
But that's the way I understand it. Am I on the right track?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, all three of those strains will individually stimulate something called interleukin 10. And interleukin 10 is what then will go and talk to the T regulatory cells. And so then there's another thing that sits kind of like at the apex of that. If you want to look at that triangle, and there's TH1, there's TH2 over here. What's all the way at the top is something called TH17 or interleukin 17. And then this interleukin 10, or it's a chemical messenger, right? You eat the probiotics. As a result of that, you start making more of that chemical messenger. Well, that guy goes and chills out that other system. So what happens is now you're not constantly revving up those T regulatory cells and making them do stuff that they shouldn't be doing in the first place, right? They're chemicals stimulating cells they shouldn't be stimulating. You're chilling the system out. One of the things, again, like I mentioned, Dr. Vasquez would say, and I know it to be true at this point, was that so he said, look, all your patients, especially autoimmune, should either be eating cultured foods or they should be taking probiotics. And so if you learn whether that be a condition or a set of symptoms, and then how to use probiotics on that, or how to then use cultured foods, right? So like cultured foods, they don't work great if people have histamine reactions, typically, okay? Right. So then you have to kind of defer to probiotics. Some people don't like sauerkraut, for God's sakes. Yeah, what? Oh my God.
I'm not a kombucha guy too either.
And then you've got cane sugar to deal with kombucha.
Right.
On top of it. So it has health benefits, but then there's certain people that are just not going to do well with it. Or they go, well, I ate sauerkraut 3 days in a row and I got tired of it. So can I just take a pill? And I'm like, yeah, just like pop a pill, man. And then again, it's going to have health benefits of what we're trying to achieve in the first place. And then you have to, freak out because, oh my God, you didn't get your probiotics in. And you're right about the yogurt stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. The majority of that stuff, one, they don't put enough of the actual. So they'll do research, right?
Right.
They won't cheap out. They won't put enough of the actual active strains in there. And then typically most yogurts, unless it's just straight plain Jane, is going to be jacked up with as much sugar as a root beer, right? Or a Coke.
Right.
So you've all of a sudden you've lost all the health benefits, and actually, if anything, you've created problems because now you're feeding bad bacteria.
Right, and then you couple that with the whole the protein reaction. You know, people think dairy is all about lactose, but no, it's not. There's casein, there's casomorphin, there's milk butyryltrophin, there's all these other proteins that they can react. It's just a friggin' mess. So here's the question: do we come back and do a second video and touch on alpha lipoic acid and green tea extract, or do we just send it and let's just wrap it up and go through those as well?
Yeah, I think we can just talk about it a little bit.
Right, let's do it.
Dive deeper in it. So the EGCG that's in there is, it's actually the proprietary green tea extract. And so I would say what the EGCG is, but I'm probably going to butcher it. So basically call it catechins. And what those are, they're kind of two things. It's a polyphenol. So it's something that is derived from that green tea. And then it works as an anti-inflammatory. It works actually as a prebiotic as well, which is cool. So it actually changes what's happening with gut flora. But then it also actually stimulates those T regulatory cells. So again, this is what I've been drinking since we've been talking is some warmed up, green tea from this morning. And that's just kind of a constant thing for me. You don't have to obviously have the buzz from the coffee, but to get the health benefits, there you go.
Water for me.
Yeah, nice. And so the green tea is great because, again, they decaffeinated it naturally. You don't have to worry about the impacts of caffeine, and you get the health benefits of it as well. So it's going to stimulate those T regulatory cells to do what we're trying to get them to do, which is chill out and actually re-regulate. And again, this is, I say this kind of cavalierly, but a lot of my clients are coming to me for what we would say remission of their antibodies, meaning if they actually have a diagnosed autoimmune condition, they want their symptoms gone, of course, but then they don't want to develop another autoimmune condition.
Right.
So they say, well, then what we need to do is we need to actually focus on getting at the root cause and the triggers, but then also, again, calming your immune system down and getting your antibodies to get back into remission. And typically your symptoms and your antibodies are going to kind of go in the same direction. So all these nutrients are going to and have been shown to in the research help that process. Okay. Alpha lipoic acid is that's an interesting nutrient. It is kind of you can call it similar to like a B vitamin, but it has again a lot of different things that it actually will do, and it's used again. I'm sure you use probably a ton of it with those with blood sugar handling issues, especially insulin resistance. Right, an amazing nutrient for that. It's been used in neuropathy. There's a lot of people using it for brain-related conditions, right? But not only, again, does it stimulate those T regulatory cells, it increases glutathione, right? So that master antioxidant that we make in our body. There's a ton of stuff that alpha lipoic, it increases the body's natural ability to detoxify substances, so it helps the liver itself. Man, it's just tons of stuff that does. And the cool thing is it's micronized. So what this company is doing is they found a proprietary way to make it small without using chemicals, right? And so the absorption of it is more efficient, which is just, again, cool. If you can take everything, either make it smaller, make it absorb more efficiently, like the probiotics, there's this sodium alginate delivery system they have, make it more efficient and effective, you can take less of it and actually get a more magnified impact. So there's, I think that's like a quick synopsis of ALA or alpha lipoic acid. Each one of these nutrients, you could do like a little webinar on all of them, on all the different health benefits, and especially I think A, D, and K and the probiotics. But many times I will again be using higher dose ALA, higher dose EGCG, green tea. But now again at this point I'm like, hey guys, like here, and you're gonna just take 2 of those twice a day if we're actually really trying to deflame someone, right? Or you know what, you're on a maintenance, so you're just going to take 1 of those a day.
Yeah.
And then it simplifies the whole process and it makes it easier on people.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Let's Let's make 2020 harder. Okay.
Right. Exactly. And there's definitely a cost benefit to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about getting quality supplements at retail price, and to take everything that you're taking here. Well, I know just the probiotics.
Yeah.
If you paid for a bottle of the probiotics of the good stuff, and a bottle of Sunphenon, which is the green tea extract, and a bottle of vitamin D, you've about doubled the cost just by doing that. So
alpha lipoic acid is expensive too.
This is a bargain.
I think so. And again, I think the thought, I always go, it's obviously been very frustrating trying to get this product out there, because I believe in it so much, and I get to use all these things, and I see the potential and the possibility behind it. And then I go, oh wait, like maybe there's actually a reason why this is taking so long, because you can't just, throw a complex supplement like this together and expect it to work. And so it has taken multiple different people. Okay, well, what about this? And then how are we going to source that? And so that I can at least sit back and appreciate that, even though inside I'm going, just do it.
Well, it's awesome. I'm happy that it's here. I'm happy for you. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah. So, I like to see blood work in people, and you hopefully start to hear some stories and just get some feedback. I mean, that's really what I want. I want to see how well this works, and if we can make it better, or what it is that is, just whatever we can do to make it better. It's going to be
awesome. For me personally, I don't, I'm a pretty healthy dude. I don't have autoimmune symptoms. I work out regularly. I keep myself pretty fit. But I will tell you this, I have not gotten sick in a long time. So
it's good.
That has value to me. A lot of value.
Oh yeah, tons. I mean, well, when you run your own small business, you can't go down.
No.
Right. No, it's just not a possibility. It's like, oh, let's just lock down. And in my state, again. And I'm like, really? Like, well, who's paying the rent?
Right.
And so that's not a possibility. I mean, yes, obviously the amazing thing is there's Zoom, and I can do some of my consults. Unfortunately, that's not really the case for a lot of other people out there. But no matter what, whether it be COVID 2020 or 2021 or whatever else the new thing is, right?
So here's the other thing about US enzymes and Immunoxym. You cannot just buy this off of the shelf. You do have to work with a health practitioner. My people know how to get a hold of me. Do you want me to drop a website into the comment box for those that want to get a hold of you?
Sure. It's just redtailhealth.com. So redtailhealth.com.
There. I typed it out. I plugged it into the comments. So, dude, this has been awesome. It's been way too long since we've been in the same room.
Good. Are you going to be out there in January in Houston?
No, I'm not. I've got other stuff that I got going on, so I'm not going to make that, unfortunately. But we got to get together soon.
I know.
So, Ian, this has been awesome. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast part of this hangout for just a second. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for your questions, Elena and Jen. Please, I'll be hiring you up, Brady. Yeah, my sister will hire me. That's comforting. Please share this video. Feel free to ask us questions, and we'll respond the best we can. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Ian.